Hello, my name is Jimmy Vegas and welcome to this, the 8th in a series of video tutorials for Unity 3D. Now, as I said in another series that I'm running at the moment, I am writing for a site called Twinstick now, which is, if anyone remembers the old joystick site, recently shut down. Twinstick has come from the ashes of joystick and doing quite well. So if you feel like checking out any news, reviews, or anything like that, head over to twinstick.com. The link will be in the description as well. Another mention as well, lately I've been listening to a YouTube musician called Daniel Ferry. He's pretty good, to be honest. He mainly does covers and some mashups, but his music covers are out of this world. Fantastic. If you want to check him out, I'll also put his channel link in the description for the video as well. But I would recommend that a listen. He's very, very good. Okay, so in this tutorial, what we'll be looking at is expanding our little mountain range here. Putting some maybe snow on the higher mountains, making them look a little more mountainy rather than just lumps of grass. We'll stick in a gravel path as well, and we'll look into a bit of lighting, i.e. shadows, and we'll also create an exit from our tiny little dungeon onto our main terrain. So first off, I think what we'll do is we'll actually begin with some shadows. So this point light here, what I'm actually going to do is get rid of it completely. And go to Game Object, Create Other, and this time Directional Light. As you can see, it has highlighted a lot of stuff. So what we'll do is up here, depending on which window you're in, we need to go to Debug, change the local position to 0, 0, 0, local rotation 0, 0, 0, and 0. What we need to do is if we drag it this way, drag it up, drag it across, and we'll rotate on the x-axis. So we'll put that as, let's say, 1, and it puts it down. Yeah, that's just fine. So what I'm going to do is create sort of a sunlight effect. If we move it here, rotate on the x-axis again, we'll put 0.2. As you can see, kind of directs the light down. So when we press play, hopefully we might see some effect. Yeah, everything looks a bit brighter now within our little village, which is fine. Okay, so down here on our light, you'll see a few different settings you can change. What you want to do is go to Shadows, and here change it to Soft Shadows. Press play. Hopefully we'll see something. Yeah, there we go. So now you can see we're starting to get our game looking a little more realistic. So you can see the shadows are here. You don't need to worry too much about changing many factors of the shadows. It is preset. I know it does look really bright, but when you do play the game, it's not so bad. Okay, so we'll change this now, and we'll simply rename this to Sun. Let's see here. Our hierarchy is looking a little messy, but we'll leave it for now. We can just about see everything. So what we'll do now is we will import some snow. So drag and drop here into the textures. It's still under Village 001, but we'll keep it there for now. And remember, all assets I use here are available on our website. What we'll do is we will zoom in to our terrain, and what we'll do on the terrain up here, you need to change it back to normal. click the paintbrush icon, edit textures, add texture, and then we will select the snow texture for both, just to be certain. Up a little, there we are, and then add. So now if you select it, and you'll see it's starting to cover it with snow. The area is a little large at the moment considering the size of our mountain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here, change the brush size to about 5. It's a bit too much. And just drag it up slightly, like so. Now I'm going to go back to this, and here we're going to import this one straight into Unity. And when it's imported, just give it a second. There we go. Edit textures, add texture, select, and then we go to this one, our mountain, and then add. We'll select, we'll change this now to about 20 and select this texture. So I think 20 might be a bit too high, we'll change it to 12, and then basically a bit of a painting job. So if we change our angle around, select again and do some more painting. Just move the camera around so we get a bit of a closer look. And again, texture this side of our mountain. So now you can see we have a little bit of snow on top. We have our mountainy sort of mountain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly paint all of these here, just nice and quickly, so at least we get some sort of mountain range going. I'm not going to do the snow just yet. I'm going to change the angle right the way around and do the other side of our mountains. Like I say, with most things I run through on these tutorials, if you have time, take care. Just take it slowly. There's no need to rush anything. And the reason I rush is to kind of bring the time of these tutorials down a bit, so as I'm not wasting time essentially. And I think we'll leave that for now. Let's add a little bit of snow on top of some of these. There we go. And let's change our camera angle around to here. We need to quickly do that mountain there. A little bit of snow on the top. Like so. Not perfect, but it'll do the trick for now. So what I might do is, I know we covered this a few tutorials ago. We'll raise the ground high and create a large mountain. So let's put our large mountain here. So if we increase the brush size, let's say about there, like so, gradually bring it down. And you'll see as you bring it down, a mountain starts to form. If you just keep pulling up on the bit you've already created, like so. And lastly, let's do the zenith of the mountain, the very peak. bit too small, that one. And that'll do. So what I'll do now is go back to the paintbrush, select our mountain texture, set the size about there, and just paint. It's that simple. We turn around and paint the other side. Nice and easy. So that's the joy with terrains. They're very easy to play around with. It's not perfect at the bottom, as you can see. It looks like it's leaking over as such, but when you have time, if you want to be absolutely perfect, that's something you can play with later on. So we'll just quickly finish that little bit there, and then we'll put a little bit of snow on the top. So we just need to reduce the brush size. Let's zoom in so we can actually see what we're doing. Select our snow, and there we go. Paint round. And if we turn our camera angle, and we'll paint this side with a little bit of snow. Suspect there may be bits we've missed. So if I pan around again, yeah, there's just a little bit there. Just need to cover. Again, snow, select, and there we go. That'll do for now. So when we press play in our little village, we can see our mountain in the distance. Not great right now. It'll turn out better in just a second. So what we'll do now is we'll head to our dungeon. And what I think I'm going to have to do before we go any further is raise up our terrain slightly. So selecting our terrain, we will drag it up to, let's say, about there. Now let's have a quick look how our dungeon stands on it. Maybe a little too high. So if we select our terrain again, position on the y-axis, let's reduce it a little more. Maybe more. That may do. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to change this wall slightly. I'm going to reduce the size of it. Let's see. If we go here, debug, change it from 15 to, let's say, I don't know. How about 12? That looks good. So if we shift our angle around and then move our wall out to about there. Now Control D to duplicate and pull the wall this way, and I'll change the size to, let's say, 2. And that creates our exit to the dungeon. Looking at it, you can see our terrain is kind of merging inside our dungeon. So what we'll do is we will click on our terrain, go back to our normal, our inspector window, and we will reduce it more. -7. Needs to go more, 0.2. There we go. So we change it to 1.5. Lovely. Okay. Now this bit of wall here isn't fantastic, I will admit. We can sort out that later on, I guess. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play. And as we wander, out of our little village. Still with the shadows, looking good. Head into our dungeon. And out onto our terrain. Now as you can see, these look like bushes, but they're not bushes. As you remember, we put trees in, but because they look pretty good like that, I think I'll leave them like that for now. Use them as bushes. So as you come out, you'll notice our biggest problem is here. As we were designing our village, we had all of this sticking out because we were on the inside and we had no need to see the outside. I'm not going to fix it right now. We'll quickly fix it in another tutorial, but it is just a case of either covering it up with another wall or mountains or anything like that, or aligning everything. So I'll decide how I'm going to establish that at some other point, but for now we can leave it as it is. So what we'll do now is we'll create ourselves some sort of path, a gravel path, rather than the dirt path that we created. So if we go here, gravel, drag into Unity and drop into our textures folder. As we've done with our other textures in our terrain, paintbrush, edit textures, add texture, and then we'll select our gravel, which is right there, and again, and then add. Now brush size will change to 1, which looks fine, and we will click our gravel and we will start pasting, or painting I should say, our path. Not perfect, it looks pretty decent for now. So let's put a path this way to where we have our dirt. Let's paint that like that a little, and let's have another path. Let's expand that to about 4 and make a wider path going up that way, so we can build something there in a later tutorial. Right, so if we zoom out a little, not a lot, a little, you'll be able to see that our world is slowly taking shape. So what I'm going to do now is, just for now, I'm going to raise the ground just here, only very slightly on our terrain. So if we take this tool, brush size, let's keep it this one here, and let's put the brush size to 10. Click, but don't drag. And all this does is creates a little mound rather than dragging a massive mountain. So if we go out here a little, again, sorry, this one, and just create a small little lump in the ground. And what we'll do is we will also do it on our path to create a sort of a valley, like so. So if we move the camera around, you can see that's what we've come up with. And what I'm going to do is select this, select our gravel again, and just colour that in like so. We could take this mountain texture here and just quickly dab little bits here and there. Now, one thing to note, on a commercial level, if anyone has played either Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, what we're doing here is essentially how the Capital Wasteland or the Mojave Wasteland was created. Essentially, it is a massive terrain with modifications like this. Not perfect, and nothing like Fallout here, but it is the sort of principle that they were using. So before we end, what I will do is these trees I will duplicate and bring up to ground level, I think, just to create something else out here rather than look barren and desolate. So we have what they are trees, but they are bushes. We'll use them as bushes now. So we'll put another tree about there. So if we play our game for one final time, and go out through our dungeon, giant mountain still there, and you can see a little mountain there. Out through here. Now, as you can see, there's a little bit of a glitch there. We'll sort that out in another tutorial. And here we are outside. And as you can see, our trees, our little bushes, our gravel path, and our small mountains, and big mountains. And you can walk up to the top and have a look around. Now, it does look a bit barren, but it looks much better than it did at the start of the tutorial. So we will leave it there for now. What we'll go into next tutorial is we'll look at tidying up this so that it looks a little more presentable rather than a hideous mess, things sticking out everywhere. We may look into enemies. As you noticed in our dungeon we already had some placeholders for enemies, so we'll look at maybe holding a weapon, maybe a little bit of animation, but more likely some scripting is involved in that. And we'll also look at expanding our terrain and maybe creating another little log hut over here somewhere or something like that, just so there's a little bit more. We may also look into creating a sort of a scenic mountain range that can be seen when we're inside our village. So that's the end of this tutorial, and don't forget all the assets we use are on our website, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Thank you very much for watching.